And you're very welcome back to the Sunday game. Kevin McStay and Ciaran Whelan are with us now to look ahead to next Sunday's All-Ireland football final between Mayo and Dublin. And one of the reasons I'm so looking forward to it is there seems to be pretty universal agreement it will be contested by the two best teams we've seen this year.
Huge game between the 2010 and 2011 All-Ireland senior football champions. A place in the All-Ireland semi-final up for grabs. McCaffrey is through! Oh! What a goal from Jack McCaffrey! And it's Jim Gavin's Dublin who take their place in the All-Ireland semi-final. This is going to be epic. Dublin and Kerry. And Mannion an answering goal! But Kerry still lead. Dublin far too open. Walsh goal! The sides are level. McManaman still going! He's done it again! Gogara goal! It's been the game of the year, maybe the game of the decade by some distance.
O'Connor, what a goal, what a start. Keeper comes, doesn't get it, Mayo goal. Amazing stop at Croke Park, and it is something of a rout. It's another one for Killian O'Connor. They absolutely annihilated Donegal and beat them by 16 points.
So many questions to be answered in this intriguing semi-final. It's game on. Oh my word. Here's Freeman. It's in the back of the net. And Mayo are in front. And that is a thing of beauty. Now that is class. Wonderful football. Mayo are in the All-Ireland football final. Watch out, Dublin.
Well, Kevin, with both a senior and minor team, I'm sure Mayo is buzzing.
Oh, it is. I was down there last night now, and they're so looking forward to the finals day because, look, when you have two teams in it, how more exciting can it get for a county? Loads of colour, and like a very good sense that they can pull off the wins as well. So when you're travelling with that sort of possibility in your heart, or those sort of dreams, you're going to make a big weekend of it, and the whole of the county are going, once they get their tickets. That's the problem, of course.
Yeah. Is it a fair point, Ciaran, to say it is the two best teams in the final?
It is, Des. There's no doubt about it. These two teams have been fantastic all year. Dublin have played an open attacking brand of football. Mayo, similar-wise, they're both averaging 24, 25 points per game, and not conceding a whole lot. Mayo are conceding about an average of 11 points, Dublin slightly more, 13 or 14 points. So they have been the two best teams. There's no doubt about it. It's a mouth-watering final. The buzz hasn't really started in Dublin just yet. A lot of people looking for tickets. Demand for tickets is going to be worse than ever, So I'm giving out your number, Des, for the rest of the week. But it's going to be a fantastic occasion, and I hope it lives up to its expectation.
I was going to say,
sometimes you can be disappointed after the semi-finals that we had. I mean,
the two high-scoring teams, etc. Something has to give.
I was looking at some of their numbers in getting ready for next weekend. You're absolutely right about the sort of scores they're getting. 217, 316. That's their average score. They're getting about 20 scores a game. They're making about 30 plus chances each per game. The ball is just flying.
Will it be 20 scores against 19 scores next week?
I don't see a massive change, and we'll be discussing the detail of what they might or might not do. But the Kerry-Dublin game had a lot of expectation around it, and it delivered.
I think the other aspect, Kevin,
so it can deliver.
Huge spread of scores from both sides. They're not over-reliant on any one marquee forwards. There's different guys popping up with scores every week, and there's 9-10 scores on the score sheet every week, and it's been brilliant because we have to be honest about it. It hasn't been a great football championship in terms of entertainment, the earlier parts of it. Now the semi-finals, it obviously got a lift, and hopefully we can crown off the year with a great game of football.
Let's look at how the teams might line out. Dublin first of all, Kevin.
Well, by my reckoning, we'll have a look at the semi-final line out first. I think this is a huge moment for Dublin's management. I think they have major considerations in just about every line of their team, and that's hard to believe. You get to a final that you're still discussing, but that shows the strength of it, and these are perhaps some of the things they'll be looking at. Certainly the Kevin O'Brien, Philly McMahon one is going to be an issue. He was taken off after 17 minutes. He was under pressure going into it, and Philly McMahon did pretty decent. The Ger Brennan one, Cian O'Sullivan, I think is the single biggest selection dilemma Dublin management will face. Certainly from my viewpoint, Cian O'Sullivan and Darren McCauley, they'll be required at midfield for pace, so he may go with Ger Brennan. If he doesn't, and he puts Ciaran O'Sullivan back in the back centre back, that's going to cause a problem for Mayo in terms of the matchup because of the pace out on the wings. Up front, the Dean Rock issue will be there. He scored 2 points every game he came on. But I think, by and large, the two main questions he'll face will be the cornerback position and the centre back. Midfield and his forward line, he'll start that.
I don't think there'll be huge change, I think, in the Dublin team. I think Philly McMahon may get in a cornerback, you know. I agree. I think he probably will go with Brennan, purely for the reason that, you know, Dublin maybe lack you know, if they started with Bastick, they lack an option coming in the last 20 minutes when bodies are getting tired around the middle of the park, and they need Bastick for that role. He may not have 70 minutes, and that's where they're going with O'Sullivan in midfield. They haven't given Kevin Nolan game time, you know, and it's very risky to bring him in at this stage, you know, as much as he was man of the match in the All-Ireland final 2 years ago, you know. So there's Dean Rock up front. He's done. He's been a very good impact sub. He's getting 2 points every time he comes in. You know, himself and McMenamin are the type of player that you want to come in with 20 minutes to go. And I think as much as he's probably deserves maybe a chance on the edge of the square, I think Jim will hold him back.
The Mayo perspective on the Ger Brennan one is very interesting because, you know, they will want to match up Alan Dillon with a guy that is equal pace. Like McCaffrey and McCarthy on the other wings wouldn't be a suitable match. Now, if they put Ciaran O'Sullivan at 6, now there's nobody on the Dublin half-back line to match up naturally with Alan Dillon, who is probably one of our best ball players. So they're the sort of strategies that they're going to be looking at, like a lot of stuff to consider.
All right, what about the Mayo line out then, Ciaran?
But I suppose Mayo, you know, you look at the team that started against Tyrone, and certainly from 1 to 9 they looked quite solid and secure, that you can't see many changes there. Now, Keith Higgins only moved in the Donegal match into centre forward. Whether he could go with him back in the full back line in place of Tom Kniff, I doubt it. I think Kniff and Barrett have been very good. It's up front where he has key decisions, and a lot of it based around the fitness of Cillian O'Connor. The talk is they're going to start him. I personally think, you know, somebody coming into an All-Ireland final, 95%, it's going to be a big risk, you know, to come back from a shoulder injury so quickly. So I think if he doesn't start, then it opens up opportunities. Michael Conroy done very well when he came off the bench, and Vardy likewise, you know, got a very important score at the start of the second half. You know, Kevin has mentioned about Dillon in the half-forward line. I think, you know, if Dillon went to centre forward on Ger Brennan, it would probably be more suitable than McCarthy. But, you know, it's a different dynamic for the Dublin defence. They're not coming up. There's no Colin Cooper, or that maybe the pace is not the same there. So, you know, it would be a better matchup if Dillon moved to centre forward. I doubt they'll bring Carolyn in. In my opinion, they'll probably go with Higgins at 11 and Dillon at 12.
Well, there might be a role for Higgins in terms of sweeping, and again, we'll talk about that later.
Do you think Cillian O'Connor could start?
Oh, I do, yeah. I think he will. I think, you know, like, I agree totally what you're saying. It's a huge risk, but like, he is an elite free taker where every free in the final is going to be vital. It's all predicated. Everything else falls off Cillian O'Connor's selection. If he starts...
Did you ever play with a bad injury?
No, I didn't. No, not that nature, no.
Not with a bad one, Des. But the reality is, if you come into a game with an injury, mentally you're minding it, and it can't be 5% off in an All-Ireland final. And I know Alan Freeman done very well in the All-Ireland semi-final, and maybe if O'Connor starts, it will take maybe the pressure off Alan Freeman, but he may have to step up to the plate in terms of the free taking.
Okay, now, analysis. Now, you've been looking at Mayo, and should they push up on Dublin for Dublin kickouts?
Well, I think the Stephen Cluxon kick-out is very, very important, and I think if you look at the game here against Tyrone, in the second half they pushed up, and you can see they pushed 12 men up into the opposition's half. They leave only 2 defenders behind. They're very hungry under the breaking ball, and I think this is a key factor in terms of the Mayo play. In that middle 8, they work very, very hard, but they do leave gaps. They play a high line, and they leave gaps behind that if Dublin could get quick ball into that space, it could cause them problems. But there's another example, 5 men sweeping in under that breaking ball. But again, you can see that space is in behind. If they lose that ball and Dublin in the running game break through and Jack McCaffrey gets onto it, it could be dangerous. But look at this, Dublin, one of Kerry's weaknesses is their intensity in the tackle. Dublin will not be afforded the opportunity to pass the ball 8-9 times and saunter out defence and work it out.
Mayo will be on the much
Mayo
quicker.
will press them very, very quickly. Here we've Cluxton, and Cluxton's last option is to go long. He's always looking to go short, all the time. This time he puts one out to Ciaran O'Sullivan. Kerry do get the press on, and it results in a Kerry score. So it's a dilemma in terms of, you know, from a Stephen Cluxon perspective, whether he goes long or short. Here's Pascal McConnell. Again, we see the Mayo forwards, they split. They're well organised, well drilled. He goes short, as Cluxton will, and Mayo come over and they put the press on them. Here's another one, goes short, pops it out, Andy Moran comes in with the block. So it is a bit of a dilemma from Dublin's perspective. Their last option is to go long. He likes to pick out players, but because Mayo push up, they play 12 men, their half-back line play a very high line, it's going to be difficult for Dublin to get the ball out, and they're going to meet more intensity than they've met all year. Mayo's middle eight are phenomenally strong physically, they work hard, they will pressure Dublin all the time. So Dublin are going to have a plan B. They're going to have to be very, very precise off their kickouts. But it is a game of risk-reward, Des, as well. They do leave that space in front of the full-back line.
Well, one element then, if they did leave space, Dublin score goals, we've seen that, and they make chances as well.
They do, yeah.
What can Mayo do to try and stop the goal-scoring machine?
Well, in the context of the last 3 All-Irelands, where Mayo have conceded very early, serious goals, major scores, in the first quarter, and the game is busted then after 20 minutes and you're playing catch-up. So there's a sense that maybe you'd want to protect your start, so the sweeper comes into it. And if the sweeper comes into it, the natural guy would be Keith Higgins. And if Keith Higgins becomes the sweeper, they're down a man now to do the push-up high that Ciaran is talking about. So they're the things that are facing the management when they sit down to pick it. But the goals, as you well know, get Dublin rocking. They get an oxygen out of it that most teams don't. I mean, for years, I heard Colin Rourke saying, you know, what's your strategy when he was... Don't let Dublin score goals. That will be a huge objective for Mayo, because they've scored 11 in the championship to date, with 8 different scores. 10 of them have been essentially from 13 metres in. Right. Only one of them came from a long ball, and that was Jeremy Connolly's miss hit in the semi against Kerry. You remember Paul Mannion got in and punched it to the net. That's the only ball that came from any sort of distance. The rest are worked in, but really nice hand passes, looking for the open man, completing little triangles, getting it to the free man and sticking it. Now, the reaction that gets on the hill is massive. And certainly from a Mayo perspective, you know, maybe for the opening 20 minutes, they might consider Keith Higgins a sweeper. And then once the game is stabilised and you have a foot in the game, you might push on then and then take on the sort of work rate that Ciaran was talking about. That's the challenge.
It will be a huge change of tack, though, Kevin. I know that Colin Boyle has tended to sit deep in front of the full back line at times, but if they go with a 7 defender, you know, is it something that they haven't done all year? So it's going to be a risk from their perspective to see how it works out.
Would you like to see a sweeper play?
Yes, for 20 minutes I would, yeah. Because for me, it's not just the team that are playing this All-Ireland. I'm thinking essentially about the support, the sort of energy you take from supporters. If Mayo were to concede early, you know, the groans will be audible, you know, from the Mayo support. So to get buy-in from them, I think they have to see a very high tempo, high intensity, where the goal is protected with your life, where there is no question of an early goal until the game is on, and then let's see who can play. At that stage, I'd push on. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's risk, and
that's what'll make it so intriguing.
That's what'll make it so intriguing, indeed.
If you were to pick out one line from the Mayo team, which line stands out for you?
The half-back line for me, Des, have been hugely impressive and an important part of their game plan all year. They've scored 2-11 in the championship from play. But, you know, again, it links into what we've been saying. There's a kick out in the opposition half, and there's Keegan and Vaughan. Now, they're the wrong side of midfield. They should be actually on the other side. They're nearly playing as half-forwards, you know. And this links back to the earlier point that they're playing with 12 men. So these guys attack at will all day. Dublin have got to make them defend. They've got to keep them on the back foot, and I think the matchups, here we are, there's the 3 of them again on the wrong side, the midfielders behind them, and they're all looking to get forward and attack all the time. Now, Tyrone and Donegal played to a system that nearly attracted them into the half and pulled them into the half. I think Dublin have got to be very, very, very important that they keep them on the back foot and defend. Now, in fairness, they can defend, they can get forward. You know, Vaughan seems to be given a free role, but, you know, the likes of Keegan, here's the goal. Now, if you look at Vaughan there in the picture, and Colin Boyle coming from deep. Now, he probably plays the deepest of the 3 half-backs, but a good ball in by McLaughlin, you know, and a ball to into Boyle, and this is the penalty. But look who's up on the left-hand side, Vaughan. Okay, so
he's rambling,
the 5 of them. But this part shows that they can defend as well. When these guys go at them, they can tackle hard. They're physical. They get stuck in, and they can get the turnover ball. So like it all interlinks to really what Kevin was saying, that if they don't go with a sweeper and these guys are pushing forward at will, that, you know, they could leave themselves exposed at the back and concede a goal or two. But, you know, here's Lee Keegan again, goes through and he picks off a score. They've shown that they can score as well. They can get forward when they get their opportunities. But to me, they're the most important line in that Mayo team, and they set the tempo for it. And the two boys in midfield tend to cover them, and they sit back and let the three of them go forward. So Dublin have got to be alert to it.
But isn't there an element there, Kevin, that may put the Mayo midfielders under pressure, and that is that the Dublin midfielders love going forward?
And that's linked now, just for the perfect coming together of our analysis, that's linked with Ciaran O'Sullivan and Ger Brennan. My sense of it is that the Dublin management will want their two pacey midfielders to play midfield, O'Sullivan and Michael Dara-McCauley, because they will want
to make those runs.
To make those runs, but with the objective of obviously causing damage, but emptying the tanks of the two O'Sheas. So by the final quarter, if they have to be looking at the backsides of Michael Dara-McCauley and Ciaran O'Sullivan all the time as they're going by them, they're going to be tired bunnies, and that's going to be a very difficult place with the final quarter yet to play out. So that's why I think Ger Brennan will stay at 6 and Ciaran O'Sullivan will get the midfield. So, like, that step change there, you might have just picked it up when Dara-McCauley comes in. This is one of the most impressive parts of him, the way he explodes out from a standing start. And, you know, if they mastered the offload, O'Sullivan and Dara-McCauley, there are goals in it for Dublin. To date, they haven't really, but the lines are very direct. They're with serious pace. You know, this one skims the top of the crossbar. Like, look at that for a fantastic line. There's no one catching him there. Gets a shot off, that skims it and flies over the bar. Now, they're making those runs all the time, and they'll want the O'Sheas to be turned and following after them. That will be part of it, I've no doubt. They're a very, very good midfield pairing. The key from Dublin's perspective on the kick-out will be keep it away from Aidan O'Shea, yes. But likewise, the Mayo kick-out will look for Aidan O'Shea, because that's where Mayo would have the big, well, to my mind, advantage in catching primary.
I think,
but in the running,
Kieran's talking about in under him.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think one thing that's important, Kevin, that you touched on is the last quarter and fatigue, and Mayo work harder than Dublin. They do. They work harder. They tackle harder. Dublin in that first half against Kerry were very, very loose at the back. They didn't match the intensity that Mayo will bring to it. They haven't been challenged with 10 minutes to go. So we don't really know if there's 10 minutes to go and this game is in the melting pot. Will they fatigue? Will they? No, I'm talking about Mayo. Will they run out of steam? You know, they've been comfortable in every game. You know, so that last 10 minutes, that last quarter is crucial. Now, last year Mayo got ahead. They were very effective at slowing down the game in the last 10 minutes. You know, they sucked the oxygen out of Dublin. They slowed the whole thing, got fellas down with injuries. But I think the balance of this game, Mayo work harder, but Dublin probably have more pace about them. And if there's 10 minutes to go, that's when the big question mark of Mayo resilience and mental will hang over.
And do you think Dublin will win because of the last 10 minutes?
Des, I'm hesitant about it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I genuinely think either team can win this, but I'm thinking if it comes down and it's a 1-point game with 5-6 minutes to go, I think Dublin finish the games quite strongly, and they have players come off the bench, and that might just swing it for them, but it's a very, very marginal call, I have to say.
Last word on it, Kevin.
1 to 9, Mayo can win the All-Ireland. They're better than Kerry 1 to 9. But 10 to 15, a little bit more wobbly. The bench wouldn't be as strong as Dublin's. But I go for, there's two things I'm looking at. The resilience of the team in coming back so often to these finals in an attempt to win it. I love that in a team. You know, the man that keeps coming back, very hard to beat. And also, Dublin won the 2011 one. They have their medal. The hunger that Mayo surely must show next Sunday, it should carry them over the line by a point or two. Now, but look, it is so finely balanced as it's a toss-up, really.
All right, well, look, it's one I'm really looking forward to. Lads, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Great to have your view. Only 7 days to go. We'll have the story of how it all turned out next Sunday here at 9:30. Until then, though, from all of the Sunday Game team, we'll say bye-bye.